Hello and welcome. I am Scarpalock and we are soloing the Stalker. We're level 40. Got about a million XP to go to get to level 41, and we're doing a demo. This is going to be a continuation of last episode. In last episode, I showed what it's like to do level +0, +1, and +2 missions at just a ×1 group size, just for solo, with this character, and hopefully that showed why I like the +2 the best. Now what we're doing is we're changing it to number. Our mission is on +0, but with ×2 players. We're going to do ×2, ×3, and maybe ×4. We'll see how ×3 goes. I don't usually do this at this level, so I'm not sure. The only time I can recall setting it to multiple players was when I was already doing a +1 or +2 with, I think it was Quintessence last, and I might have done it with Silver Phoenix too. And I decided it just wasn't worth it. But I don't think I did it at +0. So let's do it at +0. We'll see how this goes, and then we'll try ×3 and maybe ×4. And then we'll try +1 ×3 just to see just so you can see how it's different. It will play differently. There will be a lot more spawns, but they will all still be our level, roughly. Maybe one level higher. So we're continuing the story arc against the Nemesis. We got to watch out for. Actually, we don't have to watch out for anybody. I was going to say we have to watch out for the snipers, but it actually doesn't matter because they're +0 to me, so they can't do anything. So we'll go ahead and we don't even need that. We probably don't even need to assassinate, but that's okay. So this is what it's like. There are a lot more enemies, but they're all level +0, right? They're all my level. What you can see is they go down very quickly. Notice that if we do a crit with that Assassin Strike, it's a single hit that takes them out. Let's take a look. Do the attack cycle with this character, right? If we just do Shadow Punch, it didn't hit, so we'll wait. I'm going to just hit with each one of these so you can see. Shadow Punch, Smite, Shadow Maul, and then Siphon Life. Done. So that's what we do against +0s. And then, so what we're going to do here is I'm just going to dive in. I'm not going to worry about it because they're +0s. And +0s, no lieutenants, no bosses, like literally can do nothing to me. Right, you see, oh, your hit points gone down a bit. Yeah, I can charge them back up and just bang. Right, they can eat away at my HP a little bit, but it really doesn't do much. And every time a Siphon Life comes up, we just heal up, and we end up the fight nearly maxed out, and we move on to the next guy, and so on. Is there a sniper? Oh, I thought there was a sniper shooting at me. Again, not that I care that much, but you see, one shot. You don't even need to do the Assassin Strike. If you crit them, it's a one shot. You can't do that with the higher level guys. And there is a sniper. So we're going to hit him pretty hard. Click. Did I over-aggro a little bit here? Yeah, I over-aggroed a little bit here. Is a sniper hitting me from somewhere else? Let's just get out of that way. The snipers are annoying and they can hit you from anywhere. So, what you can see, right, these guys can't really do anything to me. They can swarm me. There are lots of them, right? And it's much harder to isolate the individual. This is a big room. What was locking me in the animation there? This is a big room, so should have been easier if I was paying any attention, but I wasn't bothering to pay attention because they're white cons, and there's the sniper. It's much harder not to aggro ads because you have less space physically in between the spawns, right? The rooms are the size they are. Whether or not there are 5 spawns or 50 spawns in them. So when you start getting into these larger groups, it becomes really hard to isolate the spawns so that you only fight one spawn at a time. So you will end up fighting multiple spawns. But as you can see, realistically, the only thing that made my HP bar drop a little bit, even when I over-aggroed, was just the sniper off-screen that I didn't see, who was pounding on me while I was fighting the other guys. And they do quite a bit of damage, even as yellow cons. Didn't somebody run off? Yeah. They do quite a bit of damage, even as yellow cons. And the other thing is that when you aggro the sniper, I think, because these guys started coming after me, I think you aggro the rest of the spawn too. When the sniper sees you, they all see you. I think so. Don't quote me on that. So yeah, I had to do almost that whole chunk without going into hide. Now I could have run off and re-hidden, but again, I feel like they're white cons. What do I care, right? So we look at all this. I got some whites and we got some yellows. We'll start with the yellows because and there's a Tiralor, right? So this guy, an orange sniper, he could be an issue if I don't see that he's there. So realistically, as nonchalant as I tend to be against enemies who are whites and yellows, realistically, knowing that there are snipers here, I should be, you know, looking to see if they're there, right? And making sure that I know who's around. But you can see we have these large spawns. This definitely is more difficult than if they were single individual spawns, right? If they're just 3 white cons. But the individual enemies are so weak that I just don't find it all that interesting. We're doing this as a demo, but I like Midnight Grasp one-shots them. This thing as a crit one-shots them. These 4 things together just defeat them. It's just too easy to take out each individual. So, and I also don't tend to enjoy the chaos of having like 25 or 30 guys around you. Did I forget to click that glowy downstairs? I bet I did. Let me go get it before we go too far and I forget about it. Who was screaming at the screen? Click the glowy. Yeah. I also didn't check that corner, which you should check, because there's sometimes guys. But with one thing I will say, with the ×2 and ×3, there are so many enemies, you're almost never going to miss a spawn in a defeat all unless it's a hostage situation, because I think they're almost always just 2. So as I was saying with these guys, right? It's not particularly. How can I say this? It's not that +1s are that much. A spawn of +1s is not necessarily any harder than this larger spawn of +0s in terms of just the actual ability to defeat everybody. But I just find dealing with a lot of little guys, this whole like death by 1,000 cuts, less enjoyable than having large numbers, having smaller numbers of higher level guys. Right? The large numbers of guys just don't really do anything for me. But I wanted you to see this is what it's like, right? So instead of going on a +1, you can do this, and maybe you'd like this better, right? I feel like this is sort of the, you know, the controlled chaos. It is more reminiscent of what happens when there's a large group, when you're on a group of 4 or 5 and there are like 40 enemies all in the room and everything goes bananas as everybody starts attacking and doing damage and that sort of thing. There's a Tiralor and there's another Tiralor, so I think we're gonna, can that guy see me? I think we're gonna take this guy out. And then we'll fight these guys. And notice we aggroed those guys too. The other thing you'll notice when we're fighting all these guys at once is I do try to maneuver myself much more to get that Shadow Maul and get AoE a bunch of them, because it's worth it now, right? If they're just fighting 2 guys, maneuvering them like that probably doesn't matter too much. But if you're fighting like 8 guys, then it actually can be helpful because you're going to do damage to 4, 5, 6 of them in the arc at once. I didn't check my 6 over here. There could have been another sniper in here who would have seen me. It doesn't look like it. There was a nemesis in there. And then we have this other sniper, but he's by himself, all alone. And then we click this. I think this is pretty good graphics on the screen for 2004. You can really kind of see what's going on there. It's pretty cool. Now this one is probably going to require some inspirations. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the Nemesis first, because then he's going to go into his stupid defense mode. And we'll go ahead and use this against him, and then we'll turn it off, because we don't need it against the white cons. But he's going to go into his stupid defense mode, and once he does, I'll just turn and attack the other guys. So what's the defense for? The defense... Oh wow, is he... Okay, so he's unhittable now, so let's just move over this way. So what's the defense for? It's not really for the Nemesis guy. It's because I knew I was going to be attacked by like 25 guys at once. But here's the negative of defense, right? Defense is lowering their chance to hit. But if you have... they have a 10% chance to hit you, and you have 10 guys attacking, you're going to be hit by one guy every quote-unquote round, right? So you will be taking damage. So it can be helpful to have a little bit extra defense, a little bit extra debuff on them, on their 2-hit, right? To make sure that they don't stack the hits on you. Too many lucky hits can kill you. And I don't know where Nemesis went. I see him shooting me. There he is. And now we can placate you. Do this, and then do this. And there we go. He's still unhittable at 40%, right? It's not like he has all that high of a defense. He has a 40. I have... Oh, now he's got me floored. Come on. So annoying. He did it to me again. It's because I couldn't hit him. That is really annoying, because I even hit the heal. I saw it, and it just takes a second to animate. But at 40% chance that I miss him like 4 times in a row with 40% to hit. If any one of those, because he had one little sliver, if any one of those had been a successful hit, we don't need that. If any one of those had been a successful hit, we would have gotten him. Let's just load up on all the yellows we can, because I'm sick of missing that guy. Also, I need to sell a little bit of salvage because I don't have room. So let's throw a little of those away. We have so many of these we aren't going to need. And we'll just head over. So yeah, that's really annoying. If any one of those, what did I miss him like 11 times in a row? If any one of those, some of them were only at 10% to hit, but like 3 or 4 of them were at 40 or 45% to hit, and I missed all of them. If even one of those had hit, I would have had him. And that's really annoying. Now, I could have hit overload, and he probably wouldn't have killed me. But when I saw the hit point drop, I had a choice of either this or overload. Why am I not jumping? I had a choice of either this or overload, and I don't know, maybe I should have hit overload. I felt like the heal was the better option there, because I just needed to get one more hit off on him. So now he will have healed, I'm sure. And we got to do the whole thing over again. And at least I don't have to worry about his buddies attacking me, but it is annoying. It's hilarious that... And let's figure this out, right? So Playing on +2s, +3s, I don't die. Playing against +1s, +0s, I die. Why? Well, besides carelessness, where is he? Partially carelessness and partially just like you just don't figure you're going to need all these inspirations against a freaking +1. Right? You just figure you've got him, and I had him. He was down to a tiny little sliver, right? And then he ran away, and I let him run away and defeated all the other guys, and that was all fine, right? But then when he came back, he was almost done, and I figured, oh, I just got to hit him one more time, and I couldn't hit him. And I have to say, that's the thing I was talking about last time, about the craziness of the buffs and debuffs, how he can take a hero who's base to hit with all their modifiers and this stuff running is like 120 to hit, and he drops me to 9. That's absurd. I was literally floored. He had me as far down as I could go, and then with my accuracy buffs, it was 5, percent times 1.8 from this and my other accuracy buffs and on the powers and stuff. And you can't hit them. So it's quite annoying. All right, so first thing I want to do from here, let's go to, isn't the hospital up here? We need to get more accuracy if we're going to fight Nemesis, because when he can go intangible, so like unaffected, you can't hit him. But when he puts the shield up, clearly he's completely flooring me. So we need to increase that. So let's get a huge chain of insights and just add, 7.5 times all that. What, 8? So plus 50%. So instead of being like 1.6 accuracy on some of these powers, it'll be 2.1 or something like that. I'm not going to do all the math, but just we need to make sure that we can hit when he does that. Either that or I need to just walk away like I do with the Paragon Protectors. Because what I do against Paragon Protectors is I usually just walk away. I won't stand there and trade shots with them because I know that can happen, right? They can kill you while you're waiting to hit them. But I was standing there trading shots with him, which probably was stupid. I will be right back, guys. I need to pause for a sec. All right, and we are back. Oh, wait. Oh. Guys, hang on. I messed up. Let me pause here. I'm going to log out and log back in. We got to set the mission to ×3. I didn't do that, did I? No, I didn't. All right, so let me pause it again. I'll log out and log back in, and we'll set the mission on ×3. Hopefully it'll work. All right, we're back, guys. I zoned to the base and then back here just to try and force the reevaluation of this value so that the game knows that we want to do ×3. So we're going to have a lot more enemies. It'd be nice if I set this up so I knew where I was going. I knew it was south of me, but not exactly where. So here we go. So we're back. And we're going to be trying this at ×3 plus 0. So there should be a lot more enemies in here in each spawn. And it's going to be very hard in some of these rooms like this one to keep the spawns away from each other. So there's one Tyrolor. All right, now these are all +0s, but we can't really completely fool around with this. We have to make sure we get the Tyrolors. This is going to be this is going to be challenging. These guys are +1s. This is a +1 room. And these guys are all going to see me, I think. I can try to stay behind here. Let's zoom in. There we go. All right. Don't need any inspirations right now. I'm going to get them over here and stay away, stay out of the sight of the other guys. You can see how big this spawn is. Right, and now they're going to start doing some damage to me, especially if I stay inside the gas. I've lost count over the years of how many times something like Shadow... See, this is what I don't like. There are so many of them, I can't even see what the heck is going on. And that's why I don't really like going up against groups that are that big, because I kind of lose track of what's going on. I have no idea if one of the other spawns has gotten me. I don't even have a chance to see that because I'm so busy. Yep, one of the other spawns has gone after me. Let's back up. Let's pull out. Okay, here we go. Is that sniper still getting at me? I think he is. And I got killed again. So you see? So that makes it much harder because you have all those spawns and you can't just fight one spawn at a time in that room, right? You have to fight multiple spawns. So it can be much harder, but it's certainly not that it isn't harder to do ×3 as that like it is at +2. A similar difficulty level, right? I think they have it kind of scaled correctly in that each notch you go up, whether it's the numbers or the level, is pretty much equal to the other notches. The problem with it is that I really have trouble seeing what the heck is going on when I'm zoomed in like that and I get surrounded. And then you get in a corner and you're in the corner and the camera gets stuck close to you and there's all these guys around you and there's all the special effects going off and I can't see what's going on. That doesn't happen when you only are on ×1. Right, and that's why I'd rather fight +4s all day long with miss streaks than deal with that. We'll do this mission, but it's going to be probably very frustrating. Alright, so this is going to need overload, because we are going to get attacked by everybody. And this is a huge number of... These aren't +0s, these are +1s. Now I need to get this guy first, because these guys do the most damage and they're very accurate. They will hit you even with high defense. Now once you've got just the Jaegers, it's not as bad. And we do need to try and get this Shadow Maul off. Try to hit as many of them as we can with as much damage as possible. And occasionally jump out of it because their stupid gas is going to hit you and do damage. You can see the deflected coming up. That's all the defense we have. The other problem is, and this is something that COH did that other games did not do at the time, and generally don't do. By the way, you can see, if there are no snipers shooting at me, my hit points aren't going anywhere. So one of the things that City of Heroes does that is cool but can be frustrating in a case like this where you're just surrounded by 90 different guys is it respects the three-dimensional box of the targets, and so you can't, moving into them will block me, right? So if they do something like push me up against a wall, then I have to super jump or combat jump over them to get the heck out of them so that I can see what I'm doing. So why do this is pretty similar challenge to a +2 mission. Why do I prefer +2? Because I just find this, what did I call it, the controlled chaos of this? This isn't a fun way to play for me. I would much rather just have a few guys that are more powerful and deal with them. Oh, I forgot to put combat jumping on. Alright, so now overload is on, and it probably took almost the whole duration of that overload to fight those guys. So that's the other thing, right? Even if we didn't faceplant, that room took a huge amount of time. If this is a long mission, this is going to be a long mission. So now we got to watch there's nobody else in the hallways here. Alright guys, I'm going to pause it and wait for overload to crash, and we'll get our endurance back, and then I'll bring you guys back rather than make you wait. Alright guys, so we've had our crash and we're back to normal. So let's talk a little bit about how this works. one thing you've seen here is a large dependency on how this is going to go based on mob type, right? So, for example, having those snipers means that I cannot isolate the spawns if they're in sight line, right? And that's a particular problem that exists with the Nemesis that wouldn't exist with other mobs. But if you think about other factions, for example, imagine the Rikti, you're now going to have 3 or 4 Guardians in a large spawn like this. And with those, they can then shield each other and make each other impossible to hit, and then start shielding other guys. You're going to have 3 or 4 now shielded communications officers. Each of them puts up a portal. All of those portals summon a couple more conscripts. You might have a couple of headmen. So depending on who you have, right, you might have a very large number of annoying spawns. If you're fighting multi, you're going to have maybe several sappers in there, which is going to virtually guarantee you're going to get your endurance drained to 0. If you're fighting a lot of the Carnival of Shadows, you're now going to have just trying to see who's in here. If you're fighting a lot of Carnival of Shadows, you're now going to have people draining your endurance every time they get knocked out. And if there were 12 of them surrounding you, and those guys all drain your endurance, you can't avoid all of that, and you can be hurt from that. So each of the factions has their own way of being difficult if you're in a situation where you're fighting a lot of them at once. So yes, the snipers are particularly troublesome for somebody who's a defense scrapper or stalker or brute, because the scrappers, they're accurate and they can fire at you from the middle of other spawns while you're fighting this spawn, right? Which is frustrating. Oh, I shouldn't have hit him. I should not have hit him. Because he buffed these guys. So the Nemesis faction has those as, you know, troublesome or whatever, making it harder, but there are other factions that are going to be doing something similar, right? They're going to be making it difficult in some way or other. Oh man, I hit that by accident instead of Siphon Light. Come on. You die from that. Let's go. Alright. Let's grab the glowy. So we have 4 devices to deactivate. But I just want you to see, look how long our time has been just walking around here. I'd already be done with this mission. Or I'd certainly be done with this level and on the next level if these spawns, if there weren't so many guys in these spawns. Right? The other thing I do want to point out, I have very little practice with dealing with this many guys solo. I solo against small spawns all the time, so I have very little practice against them. I'm not really even sure what the right sort of strategy would be to deal with them. I've got some idea, you know, but usually when I'm dealing with this many spawns, I'm on a team, and I've got somebody to work with. I don't usually deal with this many guys when I'm by myself. I don't know if I've ever fought ×3, except on my tanker, who, you know, is going to play very differently from a stalker. Some endo. That should work really well. The one problem with the endurance thing is it's a pretty long animation time. And I've got to try to remember to make sure I don't hit the lieutenant. Man, they're pounding me. There's so many of them that the odds of 1 or 2 of them are going to hit me are really high. And the other thing is, when you're fighting this many guys, it's really difficult to be surgical about making sure you hit the surgeon first, you hit the sergeant last, etc., etc. I'm going to pull these guys in here. Why? Because I don't want them to buff anybody else. They will. And I'm going to try to hit them with Shadow Maul and do damage to both of them and sort of hit them equally. Get them both down. And then try to like get them both as fast as possible so that I don't have to deal with that buff too much. There we go. And there's another Sergeant Major. We can assassinate him. So why am I not doing Placate? Placate will affect 5 guys, right? When I'm surrounded by 13, it's not going to help me. When I'm surrounded by 4, I could use it, but I don't need it the way I do against 13 guys. So this is not my preferred way to do City of Heroes, obviously. But I just want to kind of show you guys how this works so you can see why. Right? I feel like this is challenging, but challenging in a way that is not the way I would prefer. It's really hard to get the angles I want on all these guys for Shadow Maul because there are just so many of them. And one of the things that I have to do more of, which again, because I don't normally fight this many guys at once, I don't generally think about, is make sure to keep hitting Siphon Life as fast as it recharges to get those hit points coming up, right? Because they're like sort of death by 1,000 cuts, chewing down my hit points little by little. So I would say this, like this is not a bad level of difficulty. I think it's actually pretty good. And you're going to get a lot of drops this way too, because there are so many enemies and you just get a chance per enemy you fight, right? So you get a lot of drops this way, which is also good. The challenge level isn't bad. It's just that it's making the mission take a really long time. And I'd rather do more short missions than fewer long missions. Do we have any more snipies in here? But we got Sergeant Major. So that's the other thing that is hard about fighting multiple guys, you know, like large spawns, is that they have multiple lieutenants in them, and the lieutenants have that buff where when they die, they buff you. They buff, you know, their buddies. So it can be very difficult to prevent them from buffing each other and buffing some of the guys, right? And I got to make sure to, and this slows down the battle, I've got to make sure to click off of them and not damage them and hit them, right? Because I don't want them to buff their buddies. So it's a lot harder to sort of do your surgical strike, figure out which guy is the right one to attack. When there's only 3 of them, you can see it right from the beginning and you can keep track of them all, but during the chaos of the combat, right, there's so many reshufflings of them that you can't, it's really hard, at least for me, to keep track of who's where. Alright, now I'm going to try to Shadow Maul both of them, see if I can get them both out at the same time. Nope. But we got him. So we can certainly do it, but it's just not, it's not really, oh, he buffed all these guys. It's not really my favorite way to play, just because there's so many of them. Okay, I am going to go down the elevator and we'll come back to those guys when they're not glowing anymore, because I really don't feel like fighting them while they're buffed. Now, as a Stalker, one thing I could do is avoid any of the battles that I don't want to fight. I've been purposely kind of being a scrapper almost in this mission and showing you guys the combat because this is a little demo of how this works. But you don't have to do that. Oh man, Nemesis. Okay, let's see. We have to deactivate the device, which is up here? Where is it? There it is. Well, let's do the mission first. Make sure we got our priorities straight. And then we do have to defeat everybody. Right, so a defeat all mission in here is a real pain, right? Because when you have all these guys to fight, you have to get them all, right? And again, it just makes it take longer. I want to stay off of that lieutenant, which of course repositioning myself takes a long time too. And again, repositioning is not something I even think about in oh wow. Better overload. Who is this tactician? Who is pounding me like that? Am I getting hit by snipers? Did I aggro another spawn? It feels like it. I don't know who hit me. Like, who did I... I don't know. Yeah, see, I get way more disoriented on these larger groups. This is a me problem. I'm not great with these. I'm much happier on smaller spawns. Now, on teams, it's not a problem because on a team you have other people to help you and to worry about other things. And so what I do is I call dibs on a boss or something, and I just ignore all the other crap and fight the boss. That's it. Is that a sniper over there? I thought there was only one other lieutenant in that spawn. I must have aggroed another spawn from downstairs or something that I didn't see. Well, it cleared the room. Alright, I'm still overloaded, so I guess I'll try to beat this guy. I don't know if I'll have time, but we'll try. Okay, I gotta fight these other guys, and I want to stay off the Sergeant Major. So now the Sergeant Major is going to buff Nemesis, so we want to watch out for that. Come on, why is this stuff I'm clicking not working? Is it that there's so many guys that they're lagging me? Can we get him? Got him. Alright, now we don't care about the other guys that much. I gotta get away. I'm about to lose my toggles. Turn back on, because he's gonna come after me. I'll just hit him. Okay. Get the rest of our toggles on. You don't need all that, goodness. What a mess. So there's a certain hecticness to these large spawns that you have to fight. Some people really enjoy that. Notice my salvage is maxed out again. Some people really enjoy that sort of chaos. I prefer the more controlled type of combat. Right? Now, I wouldn't mind fighting big spawns with a tanker, because they're built for that. But these guys, with Stalkers, you're sort of giving up a lot of the advantage, because I can't surgical strike everybody. And once you get surrounded, then it's just messy. Also, you probably notice I don't talk as much, other than to just sort of generally narrate. I wouldn't be able to rant with something like this because it requires more attention. So there's no way I could do a Let's Rant with ×3. No, no, not him. Okay, we can. I guess we can do him if he's going to run away. Oh, these guys. And he, of course, buffed all of them. Is that the last spawn? Just look at how long this mission takes as well. We got to get this guy who's on patrol because he will count. Nemesis does make it a little harder because of the lieutenant buffs. They do make it a little harder because of the lieutenant buffs. I have to, like, well, not this guy, but I have to stay away from the lieutenant, so I can't hit them with the big shot. Which makes it harder, right? Because then you have to chew down the lieutenants a little bit at a time. So you guys tell me in the comments, which one do you prefer watching? I feel like if I'm going to fight big spawns like that, I'd rather just use a scrapper. Right, because it does sort of negate some of the stealthiness of the Stalker. Obviously, defeat all. Now, if this is a mission where instead of defeating everybody, you're just coming in and clicking glowies, then Stalkers, you know, can do ×8. It doesn't matter because you're ignoring them. But if it's this kind of thing where you have to defeat everybody, then it makes it quite hard to do in a controlled way. Okay, out we go. And we earned a badge for what? Warhulk badge for defeating Nemesis, I guess? I guess for defeating enough nemesis. Okay, so guys, I'm not going to do ×4. It's just too much. So we're going back to level +2, and we're going back to team size of 1. So hopefully that'll be correct once we get our next mission. Did we finish the story arc? I guess it wasn't really a story arc. I guess it was just one of these mini arcs. So let's just check it. Where? Oh, that's really interesting. It doesn't say ×0 anymore. It used to say ×0. I wonder if that's going to give us the right number. We'll find out in the next episode, guys. So hopefully this little demo has given you some ideas on what you would like to do and how you would like to play. For me, this mission that we did was very challenging, right? I face planted and stuff. It was a challenging mission. I enjoy that challenge in terms of how hard it was, but I just really prefer having a few guys to fight at once rather than having swarms of guys. And there's probably a much better way to handle it than I was handling it. Like, I didn't use placate anywhere near enough. I know I didn't. And I was sort of telling myself to do it, and then in the heat of the battle I wasn't, and I didn't use this disorient, this AoE disorient, which probably would have been better to use as well because it would have stunned a bunch of them. That was really stupid. But I just got into scrapper mode and just was just punching everything, which probably wasn't the best idea. That's really because I'm not that experienced at fighting large swarms like that. I haven't played this character on a team. I haven't generally gotten surrounded by a lot of guys. Every once in a while it happens and I over aggro when I'm fighting in a times one mission, but it's pretty rare. Whereas here you almost can't help it. Not only is the spawn 3 times as big and you've got 12 guys in it, but there's also another spawn of 12 right nearby, and if you aggro one of them, then you've got 24 guys attacking you, which happened to me a few times, and I almost died a couple times from that too. So I just don't usually play that way, so I don't really have like the efficient way to do it down, whereas, +2, +3, yeah, I know how to do that, no problem. Um, it's just also not, I don't have a lot of experience with it because it's not my preferred way to play. So, anyway, hopefully you guys found that all informative, and hopefully that'll, even before you change the difficulty settings, give you some hints as to what you would like. Go ahead and comment down below which one you thought was the most entertaining to watch and which one you find the most entertaining to play. And also, I'm curious, is there anybody who likes to play one way but prefers to watch another way? Like maybe you prefer to play +0 times 3, but you prefer to watch me fight +2s, or maybe you prefer to play +4s, but you prefer to watch me fight times 3s, or what have you. I'm going to tell you now, even if you guys say you want me to fight times 3s all the time, I'm not. I think it just makes every mission take too long. And it also, I wouldn't be able to rant because I have to pay too much attention to what's going on. Or I get like swarmed and I can't, and I also can't see what's going on. And I don't know if I don't know if you can see it on the video. I find it hard to explain, but when there's too many enemies, and I had this experience with my Brute Quintessence last, when I tried to bump her up to ×2 with the Devouring Earth, and they were even worse because they're huge and you can't see through them. And I just, with all the collision of how you can't move and you got to jump over things and you can't see, like I just find it hard to have like vision of what's going on and figure out what I want to do with the character when I get swarmed by that many guys. So my feeling is I'd rather have the smaller group of enemies where I can see what's going on and make the decisions of the combat the normal way that I do. I'm sure if I practice doing ×3 a lot more, I'd get a lot better at it because we get better at what we do. But since I don't really enjoy it, I won't be doing that anymore. But go ahead and leave your comments and go ahead and mock me for all the times I face planted to +0 bosses and so on and so forth because I deserve mockery. So go ahead and put your mockery down in the comments as well. And until next time, I am Scrapperlock, and this has been Soloing the Stalker on City of Heroes.